Somewhere on the Greek island of Ikaria, a 97-year-old man woke up this morning, walked to his garden, and picked his breakfast. In the mountains of Sardinia, a woman who has outlived 4 generations of her family sat down to the same meal she has eaten since she was a child. In Okinawa, Japan, a man born before the First World War tended his garden, cooked his food from scratch, and will likely do the same tomorrow. These people are not anomalies. They are not genetic lottery winners. They live in places scientists call blue zones, the 5 regions on Earth where people routinely live past 90, past 100, and in remarkable numbers past 110. And here is what should make you furious. We have known about these places for decades. Researchers have studied them, published papers about them. And yet the medical establishment continues to push pills and procedures while the actual answer has been sitting on the tables of the world's oldest people the entire time. In this video, I am going to give you the 9 foods that appear in the daily diet of virtually every centenarian population on Earth. Foods eaten for thousands of years. Foods that modern science has now validated with clinical data, inflammatory biomarker studies, and longevity research from Harvard, Oxford, and the National Institute on Aging. Number 5 is something you were told to avoid. And number 8 is so ancient, it was found in the tomb of Egyptian pharaohs and people in one of the world's longest living communities still eat it every single morning. If you are new here, subscribe right now. This channel exists to give you what modern medicine was never incentivized to tell you. Let's begin. Number 1. Extra virgin olive oil in Ikaria. Greece, where people are 4 times more likely to reach 90 than Americans, there is essentially no meal that does not begin with olive oil. The ancient Greeks called it liquid gold. Homer called it the great healer. Egyptian medical texts prescribed it for inflammation. Every civilization that touched the Mediterranean knew olive oil was not merely food, it was medicine. Modern science has spent decades confirming this. The compound oleocanthal in extra virgin olive oil inhibits the same inflammatory enzyme as ibuprofen. Chronic inflammation is now considered the root driver of virtually every age-related disease: heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, and metabolic decline. The landmark Predomid trial published in the New England Journal of Medicine found that people consuming generous amounts of extra virgin olive oil had a 30% lower risk of major cardiovascular events compared to a low-fat control group. Ikarian centenarians do not drizzle olive oil. They pour it. 6 tablespoons a day is not unusual. That detail is not incidental, it is the entire point. The dose is the medicine. Use only cold-pressed extra virgin. The refining process that produces light or pure olive oil destroys the polyphenols entirely. The ancient world had no refining process. They had the real thing. So should you. Number 2. Legumes, beans, lentils, chickpeas. 1 food appears in the daily diet of every single blue zone population on Earth without exception. Not sometimes, every day. That food is legumes. Seventh-day Adventists in Loma Linda, California eat beans at almost every meal. Sardinian centenarians eat fava beans and chickpeas daily. Okinawans eat soy consistently. Costa Ricans in the Nicoya Peninsula eat black beans every single day. Legumes are extraordinarily nutrient-dense, high in fiber, protein, magnesium, potassium, and resistant starch, a carbohydrate that feeds beneficial gut bacteria and reduces post-meal blood sugar spikes. A healthy gut microbiome is now directly linked to reduced systemic inflammation, better immune function, and cognitive longevity. A meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that consuming legumes 4 times per week was associated with a 14% reduction in cardiovascular disease risk and significant reductions in all-cause mortality. The oldest people on Earth do not take probiotic supplements. They eat beans every day. That is not a suggestion, it is the evidence. Number 3. Leafy greens, wild and garden greens. Okinawans eat sweet potato leaves. Ikarians eat wild greens, purslane, dandelion, chicory, dozens of foraged plants that most Westerners walk past without a second glance. Sardinians rotate a seasonal variety of bitter greens. Costa Rican centenarians eat dark greens with nearly every meal. The pattern is not coincidence. It is convergent evolution of nutritional intelligence, entirely separate cultures, continents apart, arriving at the same answer. Dark leafy greens are among the most nutrient-dense foods on Earth per calorie. They are loaded with vitamin K, folate, magnesium, nitrates that support cardiovascular function. and a class of compounds called glucosinolates that activate the body's own detoxification pathways. A 2018 study published in Neurology found that people who ate one serving of leafy greens daily had the cognitive function of someone 11 years younger than those who ate none, not slightly younger, 11 years. The wild greens that blue zone populations forage contain up to 8 times more polyphenols than commercially farmed varieties. This is the version their grandparents ate. This is the version their grandparents lived to 100 eating. If you cannot forage, grow dandelion, grow purslane, or at minimum buy the darkest, most bitter greens available. Bitterness signals polyphenol density. The older your ancestors lived, the more bitter their plate. Number 4, nuts, walnuts, almonds, local varieties. Seventh-day Adventists in Loma Linda, who eat nuts 5 times a week, live on average 2 years longer than those who do not. That is not a small finding. That is 2 additional years of life from one simple daily habit. Nuts appear in the diet of every long-lived population, though the variety changes by geography. Sardinians eat walnuts and almonds. Ikarians eat walnuts and pistachios. Nicoyans eat local nuts and seeds. The common thread is daily consumption of a small handful, roughly 1 ounce. Walnuts in particular are extraordinary. They contain alpha-linolenic acid, the plant-based omega-3 fatty acid, in higher concentrations than any other nut. Omega-3s reduce inflammatory markers, support neurological function, and are associated with significantly lower rates of cognitive decline. A 20-year Harvard study tracking over 100,000 participants found that people who ate nuts daily had a 20% lower risk of dying from any cause during the study period compared to those who rarely ate them. The oldest people on Earth eat nuts as a snack, not a supplement. A small clay bowl of walnuts, a handful of almonds before a walk. Simple, daily, consistent. Number 5, whole grains, barley, oats, sourdough bread. Yes, you read that correctly. The longest living people on Earth eat grains every day. Not processed white flour, not refined carbohydrates. Whole, intact, ancient grains, and specifically fermented or slow-cooked preparations that change everything about how the body responds to them. Sardinian centenarians eat sourdough bread made from whole grain durum wheat, fermented for hours. The fermentation process dramatically lowers the glycemic index, predigests the gluten, and produces short-chain fatty acids that feed gut bacteria and reduce intestinal inflammation. Okinawans historically ate whole grain rice and sweet potato as their primary carbohydrate. Ikarians eat whole grain barley. These are not blood sugar bombs. These are slow-releasing, fiber-rich, gut-nourishing foundations of the world's longest-lived diets. A study published in The Lancet found that people consuming 3 servings of whole grains daily had a 34% lower risk of dying from cardiovascular disease compared to those eating refined grains. The grain itself is not the enemy. The processing is. The world's oldest people never met a refined carbohydrate. They ate the grain as it came from the ground, and they thrived. Stop right here for just a moment, because what is coming in the second half of this list is where it gets deeply personal. Number 7 is a food category the oldest people on Earth treat as medicine, and they put it in every single meal. Not sometimes, every meal. And number 8 is something found sealed in an Egyptian pharaoh's tomb, still edible after 3,000 years, and one of the world's longest living populations eats it every morning. If you are not subscribed yet, do it now. Tap the bell. Because the second half of this list is the half your doctor has never talked about. Let's keep going. Number 6, fermented foods, yogurt, miso, cheese, kimchi. Before the word probiotic existed, centenarians were eating fermented food every single day. Greek Icarians eat fermented goat or sheep milk yogurt. Sardinians eat pecorino cheese aged from the milk of grass-fed sheep. Okinawans eat miso, a fermented soybean paste in soup consumed at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Korean centenarians eat kimchi at every meal. These are not isolated food choices. These are the living, breathing microbiome interventions that kept these populations free of the inflammatory diseases destroying modern populations. The gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria living in your digestive tract, is now understood to influence everything from immune function to mental health to the pace of biological aging. A 2021 study from Stanford University found that a high fermented food diet significantly increased microbiome diversity and decreased inflammatory markers in just 10 weeks. 10 weeks, not 10 years. 10 weeks of daily fermented food produced measurable anti-aging effects at the cellular level. The oldest people on Earth have been doing this for their entire lives. Their microbiomes are not like yours. They are ancient, diverse ecosystems, and fermented food is the reason. Number 7. Fresh herbs and spices. Rosemary, oregano, sage, turmeric. This is the one that should change how you think about cooking forever. Ikarian cooking is saturated with wild rosemary, oregano, sage, marjoram, and mint, not for flavor, but because these are the same plants the island's healers prescribed for centuries. The line between culinary herb and medicine in blue zone kitchens has never existed. They are the same thing. Rosemary contains carnosic acid and rosmarinic acid compounds shown in research to cross the blood-brain barrier and protect neurons from oxidative damage. Sage contains compounds that inhibit acetylcholinesterase, the same mechanism targeted by Alzheimer's medications. Oregano has more antioxidant activity per gram than blueberries. Turmeric, consumed daily by populations in parts of India with some of the world's lowest rates of Alzheimer's disease, contains curcumin, perhaps the most studied anti-inflammatory compound in natural medicine. The data on curcumin and cognitive preservation is substantial and growing. Centenarian cooks do not measure herbs. They pile them in. Every soup, every salad, every cooked vegetable. The herbs are not garnish. They are the medicine delivery system built into every single meal. Your spice rack is a pharmacy. The oldest people on Earth have always known this. Number 8. Honey. Raw, local, unprocessed. Honey was found sealed in clay pots inside the tombs of Egyptian pharaohs, still edible after 3,000 years. Ancient Egyptian medical texts described over 900 medicinal applications for honey. Greek physicians used it for wound healing, digestive disorders, and as a general tonic for longevity. In Ikaria, raw local honey is consumed daily by virtually every centenarian studied. Not commercial honey, raw, unfiltered, local honey produced by bees foraging on wild herbs like thyme, rosemary, and heather. The difference between this honey and the commercial product in a plastic bear is enormous. Raw thyme honey from the Greek islands contains extraordinarily high levels of hydrogen peroxide generating enzymes, antibacterial peptides, and polyphenols derived from the wild plants the bees visit. Studies have shown it to have potent antimicrobial activity against drug-resistant pathogens. A tablespoon of raw honey in warm water or herbal tea taken in the morning. This is what the oldest people on Earth do, not a supplement, not a pharmaceutical. A food that civilization has used as medicine since before recorded history. If your honey pours like water, it has been heated and processed into something unrecognizable. Find raw honey. Find local honey. Find the real thing. Number 9. Fish and seafood. Small, fatty, wild-caught. The longest-lived populations on the Mediterranean coast eat small, fatty fish several times per week. Sardines, anchovies, mackerel. Small fish that live short lives in clean water, accumulating omega-3 fatty acids and almost no heavy metals. Okinawans eat fish daily. Ikarians eat fish 3 to 4 times per week. The Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica has significant fish consumption as part of its centenarian diet. Even the Seventh-day Adventists in Loma Linda, many of whom are vegetarian, show the longest life expectancy among the pescatarian members of their community. The omega-3 fatty acids EPA and DHA found in fatty fish are among the most thoroughly researched longevity nutrients in existence. They reduce triglycerides, lower systemic inflammation, support brain cell membrane integrity, and are associated in multiple large-scale studies with significantly reduced risk of cognitive decline and cardiovascular mortality. A systematic review published in the British Medical Journal found that eating fish 2 to 4 times per week was associated with a 6% reduction in all-cause mortality. Small numbers in absolute terms, enormous in population terms. Small fish, wild-caught, 2 to 4 times per week. The oldest people on Earth never ate farmed salmon from a plastic tray. They ate what the sea gave them, in the form the sea gave it, and they are still alive to tell you so. 9 foods. 9 daily habits shared by the oldest, healthiest, most vital human beings on the planet. Extra virgin olive oil. Legumes, leafy greens, nuts, whole grains, fermented foods, fresh herbs and spices, raw honey, and small wild-caught fish. Not one of these is exotic. Not one of these requires a prescription. Every single one of them has been eaten by human beings for thousands of years, and every single one is now backed by clinical research confirming what the world's oldest people never needed a study to believe. This knowledge belongs to you. Share this video with someone who needs it, because the people who need this most are the ones who have been told that aging is something that happens to you, not something you can change. If this video gave you something real, hit the like button right now. And before you go, tell me in the comments, are you already eating any of these foods daily, or is this brand new for you? Type already eating or brand new below. Subscribe, hit the bell. I will see you in the next one.